this roster. They've come through, they've got a huge organization behind them. Gen.G finally entering Rainbow Six. It's a lot of excitement, but there's no doubt a lot of these players are still very green. Falcons are the clear favorites here, but with their current form, maybe not as much as we would have said a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I really want to see more from two players in particular, and it's going to be Leaky Fact and it's going to be Shaiko. Shaiko is dead, even I think 12-12 or something like that. Leaky Fact was 6-14. This guy, sure, he's the IGL, he does stratting, he does the calling, but one of the big things about this player of Leaky Fact is that he will do all of these things while being an entry, while being a flex player, while getting kills, and he is, like, in my mind, probably like one of the most perfect players all around the board. He has just not really woken up this stage so far. Yes, it's only been 2 play days, but it's so unlike him as an individual to have this big of a slump. So I'm gonna just really lock in here. League Effect Shaiko, they gotta go positive this game, because if you can't do it against Gen.G, I don't know who you can do it against.
Yeah, very much the case. Falcons, we can afford them to have a little slip up on Playday 1 against VP, especially after, let's be real, I think Reload, which was their first tournament under the new banner of Team Falcons, I don't think it went quite how they were hoping. A couple of losses in the Reload to Survive phase, and then an early exit in the quarterfinals, losing to W7M. Yeah, it's a very big opponent. Of course, Falcons have previously lost to W7M back when they were BDS at the Montreal Major, but Falcons expected that that was a revenge opportunity for them. They came off pretty poor form at Reload, here into stage 1 of the EML, and they did not have a flying start. They won against Matchco, sure, but those guys are essentially still a Tier 2 team. They've only just broken into Tier 1. We need Falcons not just to be beating teams like Matchco and Gen.G, they need to be destroying them. They need to be taking the fight to the top teams in this league, and they need to be gunning for more championships, because they are yet to raise any silverware since they got picked up by Falcons.
Sure, but I also can't argue and say making every single grand final of last year is better than almost any other team in the world achieved them. You know, okay, winning aside, big deal. Making every single final is almost equally good in my mind.
I don't know, bro. Like, I mean, you've stood there on the stage, you've raised trophies before. Would you rather win a trophy, win one trophy, or just get so close and miss your chance time and time again? I think I know what most players would prefer.
With SI, you want the hammer, no doubt about it, but I would rather make every single grand final than win one event, and that's all I achieved that year. Maybe I don't qualify for half the events, because consistency, in my own mind, is the biggest way to measure performance and skill level. It's not hard to win one major, or to have one good stage, or have one good match, to cause one upset. It's hard to do that consistently for a year across the board. That's what W7M did back before they were Furia. It's what G2 did, what Empire did back in the day. It's what they're known for. It's longevity, it's consistency.
Well, the Seer Falcons can continue that consistency here when it comes to a regular old league play day. Already on the defense, looking for a bit of aggression, but Azox does find the kill on a Solotov, the highest rated player from Falcons to go down early. But thankfully, Shaiko, the man himself, finds his. Gen.G, bloodied, but at least they've done a little bit of damage to the Falcons lineup.
The health bar is still not looking so good. C4, Impact Grenade, one more Toxic Babe. Aster on the Monty could very easily go down, and they're gonna have to rotate and go elsewhere. Right now, a very one-dimensional push. They're gonna get that backstab going as well. Falcons, of course, sitting by the bomb side, just holding down those crossfires.
Oh, that's a long line of sight as well. The SMG-11, Nako goes down. It's not looking too hot here for Gen.G. Every single player seemingly falling. And the Yokai drone is going to make things very awkward now for Acer on this Monsi. Gas as well. A lot of tick damage done. He's low on HP, as is his teammate Azox, but an easy swing from Leakafak will end the Monsane and leave it all up to the striker, who falls swiftly after. Big round from Shaiko, I tell you what, and Falcons get their much-needed flying start to the game.
Yeah, and again, this is Lair. They're playing defense. I mean, they have every single thing going in their way to make this a one-sided matchup. And I would love to make this a, oh, but Gen.G, they're good, and they can win, and they can all these things. But the matter of the fact is, this should be just a Falcons in full control. I like how it started off. You know, Gen.G get the opening kill, they make their way in. But then this right here from NQ, just missing that pixel of a shot. Really, it just means Falcons took the aggression, they go 2 against 1, the Monty's left alone, and the round completely falls apart. Gen.G, they need opening kill, then they gotta slow down, then they gotta keep progressing step by step. I think if they go too fast, they'll just simply lose an individual gun skill, because one of the things about Falcons, every single player is so capable on their own. Even Brede, who is a quote-unquote support player, one of the most clutch players in the game to have ever played this game, period. When he has to step up, he will. In this round, Brede has impact grenaded himself down to 75% HP just to give Gen.G more of a winning chance in this one.
What a good sport.
What a nice guy.
I respect that. He's just a good lad, isn't he?
He is such a good lad. I mean, classic Brede, 0-0-0, you know that was a good round for Falcons.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, I just realized this is kind of like the most French game of Rainbow Six that we kind of get at the tier 1 level, isn't it? Falcons used to be an all-French roster, and now Gen.G are the all-French roster. Poor Solotov and Users are sitting here like, hang on guys, can we keep speaking English, please? I don't want to get too left out.
No, the funny thing is, I think you could honestly put Users and Solotov into this roster and have French communication, and it would still be a really good team. That's the craziest part of it all. Now, the more we hear from Falcons' tactical timeouts at various events, we've actually seen just how vocal Solotov as a player has been for this roster. There's been an individual time where you and I were casting Falcons, where Solotov said, hey, League Effect, like, let me call this round, I got the perfect counter strat. So while I am praising League Effect as being like this great IGL, it does come, of course, with the support of his other teammates like Solotov, who is a very vocal player.
Well, it's Gen.G making their move into the building, Deadshot clearing this top floor. The IQ, of course, bomb site down all the way in the basement. Where was that run out? Didn't manage to see where that was. Falcons do have a little bit of a roam presence, but it's really just Users loitering on the first floor blue stairs. He's so close to falling back to site. For the most part, this is a full anchor-centric setup, and there's not a lot of vertical game here on the attacking side. So I do have a bit of a concern here for Gen.G. How are they going to dislodge these players on site?
Well, you're all right. You definitely want some vert here. Also, not a lot of hard destructions. The Ace is dead now. 0 hard destruction. All they get is a hatch, I guess, at this point. Normally, you want to take the hatch, break apart the entire floor, lock down those angles, then go for plan attempt. Now, they can, of course, try and do that, but probably not. They got the glass instead, they got smokes, and they got a ton of grenades they can utilize. So we gotta see the glass be the shining star of this round. Otherwise, I'm not sure how they can do this.
Really gonna have to brute force it. No hard breach to speak of thanks to Skies going down. Really, this is going to be the most predictable attack you could possibly think of. It's Asa standing here with the Montaigne on the doorway into sight. Desperately Deadshot looking for a head to try and make this a little bit easier. Nako as well. Oh, hello! Shaiko aggressive! Stewie 2K'ing through the smoke, a big kill. He's also going to take down Deadshot on the hatch up above. It's a done deal. Azox tries to find a backstab as Asa pretends to go for a play on the other side. There is just nothing here for it. I mean, this nade is a cheeky idea, but it doesn't even break down the barricade, and there's nothing for it. Attempting a shot with the pistol isn't going to find anything for Asa, and Shaiko and Leakafak will easily mop up a flawless round for Falcons.
And it looks pretty casual on the player cams here as well. Just a small smile there from Shaiko. I think they know that they should be in the driver's seat, and they are. Leakafak and Shaiko both very much awake and alive in the server, hitting their shots, getting their kills, doing what they should be doing. So it's just all around, it's just a great game for Falcons. Not much to talk about. Gen.G again, lose opening player, lose the Heartbreacher, don't have the verticality, and when Blast and sprints on in and dies to Shaiko on the locker's door here, that's round over. Like, that's where you lost your final win condition. Falcon also utilizing a very overpowered yet underrated part of Siege. Holding F on the barricade. Barricading all those 3 doors on the flank, it just breaks apart any backstab possibility, and it completely denies the nuke any kind of way to sneak in towards the bomb side. It's great to do when you don't have like a Fenrir or an Ella or those trap operators that can't watch your back for you. Just simply barricade the doors.
Well, I'll tell you what, how many kills have we got so far for the entire of the Gen.G roster? That would be 1. This is a good start for Falcons. This is what we were wanting. This is the domination that we were hoping for if Falcons are to prove themselves as back in form. A lot of proof for these guys that were once known, and pretty much all of last year, they were known as the best team in the world, despite not actually raising any trophies in the official Rainbow Six circuit during that time. If they're going to contend for any majors or any SIs or anything like that, then they really need to show a lot more than what we've seen from the last couple of months, especially what we saw last week.
I love me some Maverick tricking here to get open those walls. A big change with Siege X. Electrification is once again neutral. What I mean by that is the electricity will, both destroy attacker gadgets and defender gadgets. When you're trying to Maverick open the wall right now, if a defender were to throw a C4 to try and kill the Maverick, it would get zapped by the electrification. That's a Siege exchange. It hasn't been like that for many, many years, but it is like that once more. So if you're gonna try and do it to a Maverick, you gotta do like a mini play now. One defender has to shoot the bandit battery right when the other defender throws the C4. It's a bit more tricky, has a few more steps to counter that Maverick.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of gridlock these days as well, especially on this map. Locking down those hallways here for Nako. Making sure there's no re-aggression here from Falcons, which we know that they love to do. I mean, talk about last round, Shaiko getting aggressive onto that glass, and see it right here as well from Leakafact. Now, he does manage to sneak around a lot of these tracks.
This is the difficulty of trusting AI to watch the flank for you, right? Nomads, gridlock stingers, claymores. If the AI doesn't shoot back, that's the issue. It just makes a noise. So with the right timing, Leakafact has a perfect flank opportunity. Brava hack in the bomb site information, then get zapped with an EMP, technically from the BP. I like this progress from Gen.G, but we've seen this sense take so many times from different teams.
Oh, here we go.
Surely have a counterplay. No, they have 3 C4s.
Yeah, but are you going to be able to throw a C4 when up above? This is just a blind shot through the smoke from Shaiko, not nearly enough. And the kills start coming through for Gen.G. It's a 5v2 in the post plan for the attacking side. And there is nothing to be said for Falcons. A pitiful response on their defensive side when met with what has come to be a very in-fashion attack. It's an easy lockout of the final couple of kills, and everyone falls on the Falcons side. What an abysmal defense from them when met with a very beautiful execute from Gen.G.
So the thing about the C4s is that you can obviously not necessarily C4 the planter from up above because that's kind of complicated, but you can throw a C4 down through the beams to destroy the sense projectile wall. Those like small trackers in the ground itself, they can be destroyed by impact grenades, C4s, any self-destruction, and by destroying that, you can then see what the planter is planting at and then kill him vertically. So it's one of those things, you have 3 C4s in pocket, all 3 are upstairs, or at the very least 2 of them were, and they don't even try and do it. Instead, they just kind of blindly shoot through the sense wall, and if you guess incorrectly, which there are a ton of different locations, right, the plant will go down. So it felt like Falcons had more tools available to solve the problem, and it's a very default take. Just today, over the course of this and the previous Lair matchup, that is the 4th time by my count, 3rd or 4th time we've seen that execute. And the reason why I'm saying that is that Falcons, one of the best teams in the world, they should know one of the simplest ways to deal with that, being that C4 impact grenade.
Yeah. We literally saw that exact thing happen earlier today in the Wolves versus Secret map. I can't remember which team was it that actually used the C4 to do that.
Well, oh, there you go, C4 was one team, but both teams did the strat, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I mean, you should definitely be a little bit prepared for that. It's become on meta.
10 seconds to go.
Falcons, if anyone, should be prepared for it. Regardless, that's just one small mistake. It gets Gen.G on the board. But with how dominating Falcons were in the first 2 rounds, winning almost every single gunfight, only losing a single body across those 2 rounds, surely they can get a spring back in their step and make up for the losses of last round.
Gotta praise Gen.G though. They did the right thing. They had everything covered that they needed, and the post-up was clean. Now that's a tertiary attack, however. That is quote-unquote statistically the easiest to attack. It's the one that defenders have the least priority on. Operator bans, Echo Maverick, makes sense. Both teams brought them, depends on both playstyles. Maverick makes the wall breaching easier. Echo gives you intel on plant deny. Gen.G, I will say this, they have very much played heavily for trying to plan. This Monty is not a kill Monty. It's not necessarily even a map control kind of Monty. This is a give me the bomb site. I want to plant with my teammates covering me, and that's it. So Gen.G playing kind of linear siege. I don't mean that negatively. They have a very clear plan. They're going for it, but this death right here, that's gonna hurt. Down through the little gap on the green stairs, little hatch drop. That's a bad early death, and you lose Buck. That's their entire downstairs vertical operator that was gonna deal with maybe some of the Goyo canisters, if you can like create line of sight for it, or bandit batteries in the wall, the valve cams from below. That's a lot of value lost.
Yeah, and it's a known one-way angle as well. That's not like good team play from Falcons that got them a kill. That's just guys being a little bit unaware. And unfortunately, he wasn't quick enough to realize where those shots were coming from, stayed in the angle. Falcons are playing quite aggressively. I mean, you even look at what just happened there. Leakafak in an aggressive position inside a lobby, just waiting to be droned on out. And if he's not droned, then he might make a cheeky play, take a stab. Shaiko himself is 6-1, by the way.
Yeah. Leakafak 4-1. The two guys that we mentioned, they're showing up in big time right now. It's not even that Brede and Soltov and Yus haven't really shown up. They just haven't been needed yet. They'll have their moment. We saw a C4 primed and ready downstairs with a Valcam needed to give that information as well. Gen.G's timer right now getting a little bit dangerously low. 45 seconds. Bandit is still triggering inside the bomb site. That's Brede. And there's, again, Goyo Fire. 3 toxic babes. There's a C4. I don't know how they're going to problem solve this one, just because time is against them.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no way that Gen.G should be able to make this one work. The C4 detonated a little bit too late. Doesn't get a kill, but it does do a lot of damage to the very healthy Gridlock here, who's now on her last legs. Aggression from Shaiko. One shot from this Deagle will get that kill, but worried about the track stingers. He's exposed. Meanwhile, Deadshot trying to push in from R6 room meets his demise, and Falcons, all they need to do is hold on to their very safe positions. Gen.G are just baiting for kills outside of the map. You've got to get in, son. You've got to get in sooner or later. Brede, his C4 does connect. So do his bullets. It's all up to Azox, who's barely even in the building yet. And there's nothing to be said for Gen.G. Falcons, an open and shut case. The timer wins it for them as they sit back and relax, waiting, wondering when on earth are Gen.G looking to get into the building.
And it really goes all the way back to what happened when Buck died. You lose your step one. Buck's job in that round is solely to clear the bandit batteries, to enable the heart breaching, to enable the Mungie, to enable the plant potential. That's gone. They're walking down the hallway into crossfires, utility, plant deny, and also in numbers disadvantage. And because Buck died downstairs, it's not like they sent a Gridlock instead. When Buck died below, they never retook it. That also gave Leakafak free reign for that C4 play, to run around, come back up a staircase, and it just means that Falcons have so much control all across the map. Vertically, horizontally, and when it comes to information. So Gen.G again, linear isn't bad, but you have to play a really clean, solid round, because if one thing goes wrong in that perfect path you're trying to create, you're gonna have a problem. That's kind of what happened with the Buck dying. And it was a silly, as you said, it was a silly death. Dying to a one-way angle. Yeah. Yes, they probably didn't know sort of was there, but regardless, you did expose yourself to the possibility of dying from it.
Yeah. And even the fact that like he was getting shot in the feet at first, and then he kind of didn't know where that angle was coming from. He thought it was from the stairs. He turns, he stops moving, he stays in that position. Whereas if perhaps he'd realized straight away, then he would have just been able to sprint past it and take a lot of damage, but survive. Now Gen.G looking to get very aggressive, very quick into the round. It's the Blitz making the first move. Straight into the building. Double shield lineup this time around with that ram as well. It's going to be a bit of verticality and a bit of brute forcing with these shield operators. Falcons typically going for the full basement turtle, but not to be this time around. They've got roamers upstairs. Both Leakafak and Users. Leakafak, of course, able to retreat back using that Scopers, should he decide to.
I do like this though. The Blitz much more fast, aggressive, can take the roam clear, skip the droning stage, just ran in, kill the jammers. Now they got that in control. They got the ramp for verticality. They got Raw to close off lines of sight once they reach the bomb site. They got Monty for the plant. Twitch can kill the Goyo canisters. This seems like to me, Gen.G finally have all the tools they could possibly want to get to that final destination of going for a plant attempt. But one thing that could really be a problem is Leakafak on the scope post. He can team back to side and help. He can go for a backstab. Right now, it's him versus Twitch watching the flanks. It's all down to timing on the drones. You see right there, there's drone being flicked on. To the left is his crosshair, and Twitch to his right, watching the angle.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a staring contest, a bit of a showdown, a standoff. Oh, the timing could be perfect here. Azox does not expose himself to the angle. Leakafak is still waiting.
I feel like we're in a position where Falcons are probably safe to assume what the attack is going to be. If all goes according to what we think is going to happen, right? You go in with Monty, down the staircase, you're planted by the cabinet. The question for me is, where does Blitz go? Are you going to backstep with the Blitz, cause a distraction, run in that locker's door, for example, because Glass tried that previously, got shot in the head. It's a lot tougher to shoot a shield operator in the face because you got that protection. So if you time it correctly, Monty walks in on the top, Blitz walks in on the bottom, you have the guys vertically above covering everything from the verticality. That should be a good plan. The only counter right now, 1C4, 2 Toxic Babes with 35 seconds. That's doable, but time will be like 5 seconds left or so.
Yeah, and Leakafak has teleported back upstairs, ready for a big flank from the second floor skybridge. The start of a plant teased on out by Asa. It baits out a gas, but there's not enough time here for Gen.G to burn all of it. Leakafak is still making his way down through the hallway. He's about to go and flank Deadshot. I'm not sure if he's been positioned. He goes all the way back downstairs. He's taken down one. The plant is completely dismantled. Deadshot completely surpassed by Leakafak. He walked right on past him. Went instead to go straight to the side. It's a flawless round for Falcons. Nothing to be said from Gen.G. Utter domination.
Such a good flank as well. Doesn't go for the hatch, doesn't fight the guy holding the flank, goes down the staircase and goes straight to the source of the problem. The guy planting and the guy covering horizontally. It's beautiful. Also, small thing, Usis was just ripping that C4, just ripping that tape the entire time, and it bought them like 10 extra seconds, and 10 seconds overall might not be a lot, but there were only 25 seconds left in the round. So instead of just throwing Toxic Babe, and playing the expected outcome, they're throwing one Toxic Babe and it's pre-placed on the door, and they don't pop it. They start ripping the C4 and Monty keeps walking away. Then they pop the pre-placed Toxic Babe, plus they have a spare in pocket. So they pretty much bought themselves artificial time out of nowhere by just playing the mind game. They're saying, hey, here's a threat, and then Gen.G are respecting it because you're up against Falcons. You have to respect them, right? And I think that's the problem. I think Gen.G needs to disrespect Falcons a little bit more. They're playing very, again, sheltered positions. They're not taking risks. No one's making a hero play. They're saying, hey, we want to plant, we want to cover, and just, play it perfectly. But you're up against such a good team. You can't just play these very predictable rounds. Hit them with a curveball somewhere. That's what I'm missing from Gen.G.
RED scanning.
Yeah, exactly. Gen.G have been repeatedly very slow and predictable. You mentioned it earlier, but Asa, pretty much every single round, he's playing this Monty, he's just playing a plant Monty. It's the same case. The one round that he played Sens, it was the exact same story. He was just playing a plant Sens. Basically what you've got here is a team that has everything planned out before they even start, and there's just no flexibility. As soon as we said previously, the buck dies early, there's no vertical play. The plan falls apart. There's nothing for it. And as soon as the plant doesn't go off, in Asa's case, like, that's his only purpose. It doesn't work.
Now, there is no sense to speak of, but the Monty is still being shown, as is another C4 prime downstairs. I love this use of verticality. Does it hit the Monty? Valcam is shot by the IQ, but Monty goes down. That is a perfect C4. And now, you just said it. What happens with plan B? Monty's dead. Skies falls after that gridlock. Is this just round over? We see that rotation. Will it even matter? 5v3, and Falcons are giving up top floor control because they got what they came for. They got the advantage. Now they can play sheltered rolls downstairs, and if they know the attacker lineup, IQ, Ace, Lion, there's no real vert to speak of. They can still not charge the hatch, they can grenade the floor, or use the Lion team on the floor. That's all they can really do. So these bomb site positions, which normally are under a lot of pressure from above, are going to be very safe this round.
Drone comes out into sight. Will it find Brede, who's just waiting with this C4 pre-ripped? Don't think it will. Not sure he'll be able to land this C4 though. as you said, it's going to be hard for Gen.G to shape up, find these kills, and look for an execute. They don't have much vertical game. Now they've rotated everybody off the vertical angle, and that's a loss for Deadshot. Users shuts him down. 5 versus 2 now. Make that a 5v1. It's going to be another flawless round, is it not? Azox has nothing to show for it, and Falcons a third flawless round where they do not lose a single player. And the half is over. What a pitiful showing from Gen.G. 1 round to speak of, and this could be a very swift finish.
The irony of Monty dying to a pre-play C4 and a Valcam when you literally have IQ 5 feet behind him is also one of those. It's tough, right? Because let's say IQ had just checked with the scanner. Hey, Asset, there's no C4, but there is a Valcam. 2 seconds later, now there is a C4. Like, we don't know the exact timings, but seeing that happen when you literally have the perfect counter always hurts me a little bit. Because Asset didn't do anything wrong necessarily, because you're going to assume that you can't die to a vertical C4 and a Valcam because you have IQ. But we all know from our ranked sessions, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And that C4 was literally perfect. Also, siege timing. Oh my days.
Yeah, and then just a micro overcorrection there from Deadshot. Missing his angle. Oh, Gen.G, mate. It's 5-1 with Falcons leading. Not a single player on Falcons has died more than twice. You look back on Gen.G's runs so far. Week 1 for them, it was a very tight 7-8 that they lost to Matchco, and then their second game was a very rough 3-7 against Virtus Pro. It's only getting worse now. They've only found a single round on their attacking side. Now, thankfully, they can move on to defense, which might bear a little bit more success, but I just have to admit, I don't have a lot of confidence for them, Pengu. I think this is going to be likely their worst result yet, and for Falcons, likely their best result yet.
It's a bit awkward, right? Because on attack, you can choose to go for plants and play like a passive round. When you're defending, if the attackers come to you, you can't run away from the bomb site, right? You gotta fight somewhere. But Gen.G's players, I'm not sure they've even been able to fully warm up their aim just yet. We're talking 1 kill, 2 kills max on the players, as they're playing shields every single round. We see them making these like micro misadjustments on the tight angles in gunfights. I fear that Falcons can just kind of run over them mechanically because of how one-sided it's been so far. As Sami
that's an example.
A single bullet and dies. Again, that's an quote-unquote easy pre-fire, right? He knew he was gonna repel, whiffs every single bullet.
At the very least, if you're going to contest an angle like that, don't expose that much of yourself. He wide swung. He didn't die to a headshot. That had to be 3 bullets landed by Solotov to get that down and then confirm the kill. That is Azox swinging far too wide, far too aggressively, far too early in the rounds. The Falcons, they barely had to work for their first pick. Now they can just convert their advantage.
It also means if, unless there's any keeper barriers pre-placed on the bomb site itself, which I don't think there is because there was like 2 or 3 inside the ops room, you don't have any kind of fortification on the bomb site, which means once Falcons stay close in, you're only gonna have like the reinforced or the soft walls by the side itself. You have no, keeper barriers, castle barricades, deployable shields. You got what you got. You can't really change that. And again, with numbers advantage, you can now just apply pressure on many different points of the map. And there will be a gap somewhere. We see a window by the bomb site door. One guy backstepping, coming up rocket stairs. They can't cover everything if you're Gen.G. You don't have the manpower.
So what are Falcons going to do to convert their advantage? They haven't actually breached that external role, if I'm not wrong. And that does allow Deadshot a lot more flexibility. But like you said, no keeper barrier to protect him, hiding behind this desk. Asset taken extremely low from a nade of some kind as well. Flashes go into sight as well. That was very close to a team kill. If they have another nade, they could finish off this player behind the desk. But Shaiko is all out. Deadshot also sends out an explosive of his own. But Bride with the Maverick, that's finally the way to cut open the sight and angle deep through. Skies is an awkward position, but the time is ticking away for Falcons. They have numbers, but they're going to have to convert it to some kind of a plant. A flash is perfect. It dismantles Skies' position, and now they have to send it on through, but they do land their shots. It's all up to Asta now. In a 1v3, Users on the ground. League of Fact forcing that diffuser. Brede is the one to cover, and he does so quite handily. It's match point here for Falcons. It feels like we've barely even started.
Yeah, and I really think that round a lot of it comes down to, again, mechanical skill. Like, it's just gunfight difference right now from Falcons. They get the opening kill, which you point out very well, was a bit of a sell from Gen.G, over-swinging unnecessarily, had keepers in pocket, like all these different things. And later on, Falcons just walk down a hallway with 2 players, they trade each other positively, and because they already had the man advantage, the round just kind of ends. This right here was kind of funny to watch. The bandit got that C4 kill and then swung the exterior breach, thinking that he heard a Maverick. And he would be correct, but the Maverick was in the internal wall. So he turned his back to the hallway and got shot, I think, from Shaiko or somebody else. So it's a bit of an unfortunate situation there for the bandit player. Great C4.
I didn't realize that was what happens. That's, yeah. Good insight from you there, Pengo. I hadn't actually made that connection. How much do you think these players have been affected by the improvements to how audio works in Siege? Obviously, it's so much more realistic now with the audio overhaul coming into Siege X. But I've no doubt that for some players especially, it would have been quite an adjustment period.
Yeah, I think the biggest kind of public feedback that I see is that people are not used to it, and people often just say, oh, I don't like this because I don't understand it, when in fact, I would say from my experience, it's a much better system. I'm having a great time with the audio system, but I also understand if you've been playing the game for up towards 9 years, which is like the length of the game, right? It's gonna be a massive change for your ears to adapt to, and you're not gonna like it, you're not gonna understand it, and therefore you're gonna think it's worse, you're gonna just have a hate for it, for example.
You've got to work with it though, rather than work against it.
You have to. I mean, the thing is, you can cry a lot. They're not gonna change it back to audio 1.0, right? Like, this is the future, this is the present, that's what we're gonna be doing. And I hope most people have the same experience as mine. I hear more sound cues, I hear more things, rappels, etc. I'm a happy camper.
Well, you know who aren't happy campers right now? That'd be Gen.G.
Gen.G.
Falcons have been so good. That's a nice timed angle though from Nako. Solidov, a big one to take down early. One of the best players from Falcons so far this stage. But good progress nonetheless from the roster as Users makes his way forward. With that Blackbeard inching towards the site, Falcons looking to go quite direct here on this basement attack.
They are up against Lee Shin, Ella, and like these very lethal SMG-11 shotgun combos from Smoke and the Mute. I feel like this would have been a genius vertical round. Of course, that required different operators, you know, verticality, roam clear, and there is a very big roaming presence, 3 defenders right now. If Falcons can find the pick on the side, there is only one other person nearby that can stop them. They can overpower this, but finding that first player is going to be difficult because we can hear that shotgun upstairs. Verticality is being made. They're holding the doors, the paths in vertically. What are you going to do now, Falcons? It's going to be almost impossible, surely.
Well, they're trying to open up angles into sight. A nade about to be tossed on out by Users. It's actually perfect as well. If Leakerfax holding this angle, might actually flush out the position. Leakerfax does! Nako finds his from up above, but the picks have been found on side. Brede as well, whittling down the numbers on the side. Nako has been the hero for Gen.G. Shaiko and Brede, though, if they can overwhelm the site, it will force Nako to rotate. He's still upstairs. Azox is the only player left on that bomb site, and Brede is forcing that diffuser down. Never mind, Azox is nowhere to be seen. He's all the way upstairs. He's having to rotate back, as is Nako. Shaiko can cover. Brede confirms that diffuser. Now a flashbang. Still one more in pocket as well to work with to whittle away at the timer as Falcons assume their post-plant positions.
Brede baiting it right now. He's walking around. Shaiko has the cover. 2v1.
Azox, a lot of work to be done. He's only found a single kill all game, and that is all he will claim. It's a lockout from Falcons. Utter domination. 7-1 over Gen.G. Nothing to be said other than Falcons back on top.